Sit!
Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Garret Price.
How's it going?
It's going pretty swell here as we're in sub-zero temperatures out in Cleveland, Ohio. No kids had school today because it's negative like 7 with the wind chill or something along those lines. Chilly. Yeah, it's so cold, dude. It's, oh, man. I had a friend from California. She's like, why do you live here?
I have a memory from when I was like visiting schools, and I visited a school in Indiana and it's called Taylor University. And it was like one of their coldest weekends ever. So cold, like wind chill wise, I think it dropped to like negative 40 or something absurd, but it was so cold we couldn't leave. Like our car wouldn't start. Yeah. So like I ended up having to stay like an extra day at this university because like our cars wouldn't start.
It'll do it that cold, man. I went snowboarding and my key was in my front pocket and it wouldn't work for like an hour because of the cold. So yeah, it's brutal out there. If you live anywhere where it's cold, bless your heart. You know, a lot of, the Midwest is strong out in these states, in the United States. It's a very strong population. I mean, if you look at a population density, Matt, it's like, it's all like, the middle of America is just wide open. It's full of like corn and potatoes. Like, there's a West Coast, then a Midwest and the South. That's what it is. So we're here. We got some things to talk about as we get ready. Slowly inch towards the rookie talks and the rookie breakdowns. We want to make sure for everybody to declare. We want to declare. Then we usually start, you see the combine roll right through there. So we get those combine results and then we jump right into it. Shout out to Fernando Mendoza and the Indiana Hoosiers for winning a national championship. Something I thought I would never say or see in my entire life. What a fun, and like to do it undefeated, like one of the only schools ever go undefeated all the way through too. Like what an accomplishment.
Oh yeah. They were so good all year. And as an Ohio State fan, I mean, I was watching them very closely knowing it was going to be a big game in the Big Ten championship. And I mean, Indiana was just the better team. It was a close game. It was a good game, but Indiana was just, I mean, they were a good team all year. They won a lot of games big. They won tight games when they had to. Mendoza stepped up in clutch situations, whether it be with his arm or his legs all year long. So, man, you got to be excited for them.
Yeah, people that talk, I read reports of scouts I trust, and some people say, Mendoza is just not in that elite category when it comes to the tape, from a tape standpoint. But like from every Indiana game I've seen, like, looks pretty solid to me. And he won a national championship with Indiana. Like that's all I need to know. Like the kid's
bunch of 2 and 3 star guys, like
super smart too when it comes to quarterback position, very accurate. Like, I don't know. We have a long way to go, but like in a super flex league, I don't know how you don't take them 1-2. But we have a lot of time before we discuss that. And listen, we got to watch a lot of tape, and we just had a huge update to our film room. I think there's 75 more games added this morning alone. I think we have tape on at least 2 games on every single player that's declared so far from a fantasy perspective. So I encourage everybody in that Dynasty Nerds film room and just watch this all 22 film that we have on every player. And remember, it's all condensed film, so you can watch a running back in 4 to 5 minutes because it's going to play every snap that they are in on. It's like watching how the scouts and the pros do it, right? All 22, no fluff, no commercials. You can see the whole field. Gives you a better perspective. Even when a player's not involved on a play, that'll tell you a lot as well. Kind of what's, when we go back, like, oh, why are you down on Adonai Mitchell? It's like, just watch him outside when he's not involved in the place. Like in things along those lines. It does tell you, tells you things about players and, whether it be their love for football, the acumen of the game. So all 22 film room and Dynasty Nerds, what a great time to get in there and watch all of that. So, but up until that, we have some things to talk about and kind of like, get ahead as, rookie fever starts to set in and people get excited and, people can sit out and talk about how bad this draft class is, which is, I've done personally for a year now, like kind of doo-doo butter on this draft class. it doesn't matter because when NFL draft comes, people are going to get excited, right? There's going to be a first round running back. There's going to be a first round tight end. There's going to be 4 to 5 potentially first round receivers, then more in the second round, more tight ends in the second round. So when that happens, people get excited. They see the potential to get that new star in youth, which is important on their dynasty roster. And with that being said, there's going to be players who go out there and go attack. And now you heard me say like, hey, there's going to be like some receivers and some tight ends out there. What there won't be is running backs. And that's why this show's like running back red alert, because we all know that running back is the most fluid position on our dynasty rosters, and for a good reason, right? Short shelf life, so many injuries, they come and go, whether they're for availability, but they're also extremely important. They're high scoring. They get the most touches, outside of a quarterback. So we all need running backs at all times. It doesn't matter how deep your running back room is. I've gone to a season with 5 like stud running backs, like really good running backs. And then there's a point in the season like, oh my gosh, I need running back help. Like, what am I doing? So if you have any running back needs at all, we're going to kind of dive into that this episode. Like, what are you going to do? Because unfortunately, unless you have the 1-1 and it's Jeremiah Love, you're not really getting any help this year out of the rookie class as we stand today. And I know, Garrett, I know you put a running back in your top. I saw you updated your top 12 of rookies. You put a running back in there. So maybe there's a little bit more help at running back for a guy you like, but
little bit. Like there's definitely going to be names I like, but just for reference, like a guy that I think will probably end up in my top 5 running backs right now, if he would have been in last year's class, because I gave him a score, he would have been running back 12 in the class. Ugh. And I'm considering him as a potential top 5 guy in this class. So it just kind of tells you right now, today, as I see it, if I were to, I know Rich is on with crystal balls, but if I had a set, and I busted them out, I think we're going to get not only a round 1, but a top 15 running back drafted in Jeremiah Love. And then I don't know if we're going to get one in round 2. I don't think we're going to get any. And I think we might get 2, at most 3 in round 3. So
that's
for the most part,
I'd be encouraged by that.
That would be great. But that means realistically, we're probably only getting, outside of Jeremiah Love, 2, at most 3 running backs that even have a shot at round 3. And we'll see how it all plays out. It might even be less. I think it's just teams might overdraft guys because, well, shoot, we got to get somebody, but it's not strong. I would project that in my nerd score. We'll see how it all pans out. But whoever ends up being running back 2 and 3 in this class will be somewhere around running backs 9 and 10 in last year's class.
Yeah. So that's why I think this show is important and why I kind of really want to do it. Kind of jump in like what's available. And, Sleeper has already rolled over their leagues, God bless them. So you should be active. I send trades out all the time. I don't, it's trying to better my team, trying to, hey, do I need to reset? Do I need to rebuild? Do I need to reload? Do I need to fill a couple voids? And look at the running back, get out your nerd notebooks and take notes. Cause I think there's going to be an avenue here where like these names up until free agency hits might be some value, right? Like, so I think anybody who's going to be behind the 8 ball here would be like, oh man, older running backs or not as valued running backs might be able to get like some current value. And I think after the draft, NFL free agency, like these rosters are going to be a little bit more set, and people are going to be like, oh wow, like this player is way more valuable. And then teams that don't pay attention until later, like around the NFL draft on their dynasty teams, like, oh man, I need running back help. Like, who am I going to go get? And people are like, I don't have anybody to give. Like, I don't have Woody Marks on my taxi squad that I could potentially bring up here that I'm somewhat excited about. I don't have these guys on my roster to feel good about. So we're going to dive in and talk about some of these guys. And, let's start with this is the free agents as a whole, right, Garrett? You have it kind of works out pretty sexy for a running back free agent class, which usually gets, the side step away. Like you usually don't see you see a couple guys sign early. And after that, it's like, man, they wait a while because they want to go through the NFL draft and see who they can get. And then they kind of fill holes that way. But this year, I think that, we might see a little bit more action where some teams might want to get ahead of it. And right at the top is, to me, my number one free agent, the creme de la creme here, and that's Breece Hall of the New York Jets. He's only 25 years old. He's dynamic. He's a 3-down running back. Already had an ACL tear, but that's going to be 2 years removed. Had his first 1,000-yard season this past season, the Jets, and they still didn't really want to, he's an elite receiver and running back, and they still didn't overly utilize him there in the receiving game in the Jets. And the Jets had a lot of hold. So this is somebody who's going to probably get paid the most out of all these running backs, and find him in a situation where a team's probably going to rely on him. They're going to pay him because they're going to rely on Breece Hall. He has a potential, I mentioned this before, to really skyrocket in rankings. He's my number one buy if I can get him. Easily, if I need any running back help whatsoever, he's worth a first-round pick. Almost doesn't really matter where it lies outside of a Jeremiah Love, in my opinion. I think Breece Hall is that talented, and I think the money will kind of show that as well. So he's not somebody I'm worried about. Where does he go? Is he going to be the guy where he goes? I think that's all pretty much a given, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, he's just going to be turning 25 years old. Still a very, very young running back that has a lot of potential. I know he's been connected a lot to Kansas City. I'll say this. I would be surprised if Kansas City does not walk away with either Jeremiah Love or Breece Hall. I think they're kind of at the point where they want to get themselves a high-end running back. The only issue Kansas City runs into is their cap situation is not great right now. Yeah. They're going to have to clean some things up. So that's why he might be difficult to go there, but we know it's a myth. We know that they can turn a bunch of things into other things, and maybe Travis Kelce retires, and maybe there's a lot that could still happen to open up the books for this team. So I'm definitely not ruling it out. But I do think we'll see Kansas City make some type of splash at the running back position here. But yeah, it's clear to me as well. The top guy there is obviously Breece Hall.
Yeah, and obviously that's a dream scenario. I know I talked to you earlier, but I'm just penciling in Kansas City. The guy made the cap work. They're probably going to lose Travis Kelce out there. They got to help Pat Mahomes coming off the ACLs. They're going to need a strong running back there too to run the football. It'd be interesting to get Breece. It kind of worries. I don't know if they'll be able to afford him. They might go there's a couple other guys that kind of fit out that role. They're going to ground and pound. We'll see what happens with Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker would be another really good fit in Kansas City.
Here's the potential problem right now, though, with Kenneth Walker.
I agree. We're going to get that here in a second.
Okay. All right. We can wait then.
So for me, for Breece Hall, Kansas City, it's going to be weird what they do, right? They might define some value. I think they need a guy, but the facts are the fact. Any running back that goes there and via free agency, since they're all free agents there, outside of Brashard Smith, Kareem Hunt's free agent, Isaiah Pacheco that is a free agent, their ADP is going to jump drastically to the point where if you're not a contender and you have this guy, you're going to have to flip him immediately and gain that cap.
I think Brashard Smith's still there. He was just drafted this year.
So I know I said everybody is a free agent but Brashard Smith.
Oh, there. But Brashard Smith.
He'll be the only running back on the roster, I believe. So, Breece Hall, creme de la creme. I think Houston Texans would be a really good fit for Breece Hall. They're probably going to cut Joe Mixon, right? He didn't play all year this year. He's going to be 30 years old. They can save $8.5 million by cutting Joe Mixon. And this is a team that we don't know if Joe Mixon's career is even going to end because of that foot injury. We don't even know what's going on with it yet. So with a team that we all saw, it's funny now, the NFL is talking about do the Texans need to move on from CJ Stroud? Is he just not that? And we've been kind of talking about 2 years about CJ Stroud not really being that guy. Which again, he's a Buckeye, so I'm rooting for him. But I think all his warts are pretty clear and evident pretty early. Doesn't mean nobody can get better, and sometimes a fresh start can start you over. But I think the Texans are going to have to go. They're already a run heavy scheme as it was. They like to run the football pretty efficiently, and they need to have to open up for CJ Stroud, and maybe that hurt him, right? Because Woody Marks to me is kind of he's a nice running back, but he seems like he's a running back too, a change of pace.
Complimentary back.
Yeah, he's a very complimentary back for what he is. When you look at a guy like Woody Marks, like yards after the catch, yards per carry, nothing special there. And they have some cap space as well. So they could be a person that kind of relies on a guy like Breece Hall.
I could totally see Houston. Another one I'm keeping my eye on, Washington. They have a lot of money available. And they're a team that needs some weapons on the offensive side of the football outside of Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, 100% agree. And a pass catcher running back like Breece Hall would be such a good compliment to a guy like Jaden Daniels. We have Kenneth Walker, a free agent. And you mentioned little iffy now what's going to happen, because now all of a sudden Seattle Seahawks, if you had Zach Charbonnet, you're like, hey, man, Kenneth Walker's free agent. I feel really good about this. Zach's going to slide in, former second-round pick, and be the guy. He's looked good when he gets all the carries. And then he tears his ACL. And it could be more, because it was a pretty bad injury. Could be more than just the ACL.
Especially this late.
This late in the season, which means they now slide in the category of, guess what? They need running back help as well. Do they franchise Kenneth Walker for 1 year? Do they re-sign him to an extension? Do they go a cheaper route? Do they bring in like somebody like crazy like an Isaiah Pacheco and get cheap? Or, Tyler Algier would probably be a good fit in Seattle as well. But now Seattle kind of emerges itself into a need at running back as well. And Kenneth Walker is somebody, when he's healthy, who again, he's only 25 years old. He's very explosive, big running back that can get to the edge, can make catches in the passing game. We've seen him do it. So, we talk about pass catching. It's either you can or cannot. And Kenneth Walker slides in that category. But for me, he easily slides into the number 2 available running back for me amongst all the running backs available in a strong class. How do you feel like Kenneth Walker? You think he's the second best option available?
I would say he's the second best as well for me. I feel like Breece is kind of his own tier. And then Kenneth kind of starts the next tier, because there's 2 or 3 other guys that I would feel very good about as my starting running back, similar to a Kenneth Walker. The problem with Kenneth Walker is consistency for him. The consistability, like you say. Part of it is due to injury, although this was one of the healthiest years we've had out of Kenneth Walker. So good on him for that. But then it's also like week to week play consistency. 1 week, he's a guy that puts up 3 touchdowns. And the next week he has 10 carries for 19 yards and nothing, So that's always been his biggest thing, is just the week in, week out consistency for Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I really like him. Like he's the kind of player that we'll see how he gets paid, but like him in Kansas City would be it'd be a great fit.
But
again, I mean, a lot of these open, like the Vikings would be a nice fit for Kenneth Walker.
I would love the Vikings to get a good running back. I think that would be big for them and for JJ McCarthy.
Oh, 100%. We mentioned the Texans already. Obviously, the Jets are going to need a premier running back out there. The Saints could realistically use a running back. The Cowboys definitely need a running back. And, even though they're pass heavy, we saw what a guy like Javonte Williams could do out there. I can see them being a little cheaper and kind of go in that cheaper running back, though, out there in Dallas and kind of repeat what they did with Javonte Williams, find that deal. So, like,
I honestly think Javonte is going to be back. I think they bring him back. I would be surprised, because I don't think Javonte is going to carry a huge price tag. I think one of these like $7 million a year type of contracts, which I think they'll be willing to do. So I think he'll be back, but we'll see.
Well, obviously that'd be a fantastic fit. It worked out pretty well. So
worked great.
He's in a category. Next tier of running backs after, let's kind of lump these guys as a whole as free agents here, because you mentioned one of them in Javonte Williams. So he'll be 26 years old. You got Travis Etienne, who bounced back.
I think that's a big one.
Yeah, he bounced back pretty phenomenally out there in Jacksonville. And, he's a very versatile running back. He's explosive. He can run between the tackles. He probably had his best year running between the tackles this year. Excellent in the passing game. He is also somebody I think is going to get paid. I think the 3 guys are going to get paid contracts that are like, that give it a little bit of security behind it, are going to be Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, and Breece Hall. I think you're
probably right.
Yeah. I think those are the guys that are going to be like, okay, we for sure got a year or 2 on this team with these players. Now, you never know, because you get like a Miles Sanders situation and all crumbles, but from a money standpoint, you're going to feel really good about that. And then talent-wise, I think there's a couple guys behind them, Javonte Williams and J.K. Dobbins, that are both guys, 26 for Javonte, only 27 for J.K. Dobbins, that are 2 really good running backs that I'm real interested to go out and find out where they land. You mentioned Javonte Williams going back to Dallas. That boost up his value pretty quickly. I think his value still weighed on him, like pretty much being a running back one the entire year. I think there is some value though about J.K. Dobbins. There's a chance he can come back. Or like if they make the Super Bowl, J.K. Dobbins could come back by then, sure. I believe, with that foot injury. And again, missing time again will always lower J.K. Dobbins' value, right? Like a running back just gets hurt all the time. But we mentioned this is a really weak running back class. I think he's the kind of player that if you threw a mid-second round pick at, like there's a very good chance you're walking away with J.K. Dobbins, and he's a running back that can give you a couple more years. And what he was able to do and bounce back from that Achilles injury and how good he looked in Denver. And, honestly, how good he's looked every single time he's been healthy on the field.
Every opportunity.
Yeah. J.K. Dobbins is a really, really good running back. He's a talented player. And with how many teams are in need for a running back, there's a good chance he gets signed because he'll be in free agency, he'll be fully healthy and signed as a starter. So if you can get a guy like of his caliber for a second round pick, I think everybody after we're talking about now, like Javonte, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker, and Breece, these are guys like affordable guys. Yeah. I think the point of the show is like starting with J.K. Dobbins. Everybody above them, you want to test the waters. Can you go get them? Right? Like Breece is expensive. Sure. Kenneth Walker's attainable. Travis Etienne's attainable. Javonte's attainable. I think everybody from J.K. Dobbins down is very obtainable.
Real quick before we go to that next tier, I think for potential landing spot nightmare scenario is I think there is a world where Javonte goes back. I think J.K. Dobbins goes back. And I think there's a world where Travis Etienne goes back to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So all of a sudden, what looked like tons of new running backs in new spots, all the big guys outside of Breece are back with their old teams. So I think that would be a scenario where now all of a sudden we're getting to other names that are like starting to get a little bit interesting. Even though I don't love the player, Rachaad White, where does he go? Yeah. Brian Robinson, where does Brian Robinson go? Like different, even Sean Tucker, where does Sean Tucker end up? Like names like that are just kind of good ones to keep in the back of your mind as flyers, because all of a sudden teams could find themselves like, crap, a lot of these guys went back to their old teams, and I don't know what we're going to be able to get now.
I mentioned him before, like Tyler Algier. He was 26
Tyler Algier.
I think Tyler Algier, out of the guys you mentioned, the Brian Robinsons, Rachaad Whites, Isaiah Pacheco's, Sean Tucker. I'll throw Rico Dottle, even though he's going to be 28.
Yeah, absolutely, Rico Dottle.
Yeah, I'm throwing Rico Dottle into that mix as well. I think Tyler Algier is like the guy. I think Tyler Algier is the player that might get the contract that surprises us the most. Like I think he's the kind of guy that gets a little bit secure that you didn't really see coming, and he all of a sudden went from being kind of like, oh, hey, that backup who was always really good when getting an opportunity to like, oh wow, like Tyler Algier is the man. He's an asset. Like he's somebody you can go ahead and put on your roster. Starting lineup.
He would be one for me that if I have Tyler Algier, I'm praying for that to happen, because I think he's a quick flip guy for me, because I still don't know that he's ever going to be used in the passing game, which is always going to make him very touchdown dependent. So I think he would be one where I would, if I have him on my team, or if I want to try to acquire him now on the quick jump in value and then flip him once he gets a decent deal, I think that would be the move I would be looking to make there.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be the one that could potentially see the biggest ADP jump of these guys because of the contract that he does get. He is capable in the passing game. We've seen him do it very small amounts. Very small amounts.
Very small.
So he's very capable. And and listen, if you're not contending, all these guys, when they sign these contracts, are trade candidates, right? Like,
oh, absolutely.
And you're trying to attack that 27 first class, right? That's what you're trying to get into. Like Tyler Algier signs a 4-year, 3-year deal with $20 million guaranteed to the New Orleans Saints, right? Like flip. Like he's a clear-cut starter. Flip. But he's a nice candidate. You mentioned Brian Robinson. He's 27 years old. Nice, reliable between the tackles. Could probably be Brian Robinson to me is like a committee back, but I could see him like leading in committee somewhere as well. Get some favoritism there. You got Najee Harris. You want to throw him by the wayside. He tore his Achilles so early that if these other guys are going to bounce back, you got to at least give him an opportunity to bounce back. I'm not too high on him. Rachaad White, very curious where he goes. He's very good in the passing game. Don't like Rachaad White in between tackles whatsoever, but he is an explosive running back in the passing game. So in the right kind of offense and the right fit there, he is interesting. I mentioned Rico Dottle, kind of fade there at the end of Carolina. Looks so good beforehand. He'll be 28 years old. Other guys to mention, right? So these are, again, dynasty notes. Like these are guys you're going to attack for super cheap, especially in draft. Like you kind of want to do this before draft day though, because free agency is going to be 2 months before that, month before that. So here's some other guys that are free agents that might get themselves in a situation where they, at some point in 2026, can help you, right? Like I see these can slide into a committee role with a potential to be made the league committee, kind of like a Brian Robinson. You got Jerome Ford of the Cleveland Browns, who's 26 years old. You got Kenneth Gainwell leaving Pittsburgh at 27 years old. You have those are the main guys, really. Other guys that are like, everybody else is older, like guys I'm not worried about at all. So like that's like kind of, we mentioned those. Brian Robinson was the last one, then Rico Dottle, Ford, Kenneth Gainwell. Everybody else is, you have Travis Homer leaving Chicago, but I don't love him. Ngwangu out of New York, the Jets, he's 28. Patrick Taylor's 28, but I don't love those guys. Everybody else, Darway Ogunbowale is 32. Jeremy McNichols is 30. Kareem Hunt is 30. Austin Eckler is 31 years old.
The other thing that we have to keep in mind with all this is there will be cap casualties. There will be cuts at the running back position. The main one that I'm looking at is the Tennessee Titans. I think there's only a $2 million dead cap. It's a new regime now here in Tennessee. So I could easily see them getting out from Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears being the guy. So if that's the case, I want to try to acquire Spears now before anything potentially happens. But if Tony Pollard gets cut, the second he gets cut, now I'm putting an offer out on him because I think he still ends up in a committee somewhere because there will be a need. Especially if we see a lot of these players go back to their teams, he instantly enters that, kind of Brian Robinson type of tier of like, he could lead a committee still and be an effective player.
And listen, Garrett, the Tennessee Titans just hired Robert Saleh as head coach. So we're going to see what they do as offensive coordinator. But I could flip that script as well, saying, listen, you and I love Tyjae Spears, right? Like we've been in his camp the whole time. When they cut him, there's a good chance that Tyjae Spears' value is going to spike a little bit. Yeah. But we can easily see a situation where like, hey, he's the guy, and then they bring somebody in later down the road. Sure.
They draft somebody in the fourth.
And again, they're going to have a new coach. It could be their guy. They can sign somebody in free agency, in June, essentially. It doesn't have to be right when free agency opens. We're sometimes see these running backs sit out. So Tyjae Spears I think Tyjae Spears has a chance again, and I hope not, because I think he's talented enough to be the guy there. I think Tyjae Spears has a chance to be a good sell because he's almost like that Najee Harris effect, right? Like, Najee's the guy. They drafted Mario Hampton. Like, I can even see like it's more like the RJ Harvey effect, where like, Tajae's a guy, and all of a sudden they bring a guy in, right? Like, they signed David Montgomery because. You mentioned Tony Pollard being a potential cut. I think Joe Mixon's a very strong potential cut in Houston with that leg foot injury. They saved $8.5 million for cutting him. James Conner for the Cardinals, another situation where they have a new coaching staff. They could save about $8 million. He had a season-ending foot injury. He's over 30 years old. He's gonna be 31. I can easily see James Conner being cut and them saving $8 million there. So Arizona. You'll want to say Trey Benson is a guy, go out there and go ahead and attack, but there's no guarantee Trey Benson's going to be the guy. Whoever's coming in, it's not going to be their guy anyway. So Arizona's another spot they can land a running back. Devin Singletary for the New York Giants, right? They got Tyrone Tracy. They go ahead. They have Cam Skattebo, and we know Cam Skattebo is a cornerstone piece. It's why they brought him in to meet John Harbaugh. He's 29 years old. They're going to save $5.25 million by cutting him. He's as good as gone in my eyes as well. And he'll be 29. And then David Montgomery for the Lions. They could save about, anywhere from $3 to $6 million, making him a post June 1st cut. As that cap hit goes up, they have Jahmyr Gibbs. We saw that, Dan Campbell took over play calling for the Lions that second half. And then I know they just brought in Drew Petzing, but like when he came in, he went Jahmyr Gibbs, and that was the Jahmyr Gibbs show. So we know where the head coach stands on a running back situation. So for them to save some money and save about $6 million on David Montgomery, I could see him easily being a cap cut as well. And at the same time, I can see him getting signed somewhere as well to be the lead committee guy out there and have potentially one more year. So that's a lot of names, right? And
it is
a lot of fits because if they're going to cut those guys that need. So Arizona would need a running back. The Texans need a running back. The Lions don't need a running back. They would need a timeshare guy. And we got to pay attention to those as well because he's running back. I
can see a Pacheco going there very easily.
Ooh, Pacheco would be a good a Sean Tucker could be a guy.
Yeah.
Other well, Pacheco falls in that
one
category.
additional name that I'd like to just kind of throw out. He's technically a restricted free agent, so we'll see what the team does. But Emmanuel Wilson, whenever Josh Jacobs went down, Emmanuel Wilson played really, really well. Good, big, physical running back that if he kind of thinks that he's worth more than maybe the Packers think he's worth, we'll see how that one kind of all plays out. But he's another one that I'm just keeping an eye on because I did like what I saw to him when he played for the Packers.
And that's why I think he stays put, personally.
He might. He very well could.
Behind Josh Jacobs with new coaching. No, not new coach staff. He just got extension. Sorry. There's so many coaching changes. It's been
10 coaches got fired.
Yeah. And listen, I get why, and we're going to talk about him when we talk about receivers like Sean McDermott. I understand why they fired him, but it's crazy to be a coach that makes the playoffs 8 out of 9 years you're there and you have a lot of success, but it's a price to pay when you have an MVP quarterback. You got to win a Super Bowl or at least go to Super Bowls. And Sean McDermott never did that. So so those are all potential spots. Some good fits. We mentioned, I think the Texans, whoever lands the Texans would be a really good spot. I think Breece Hall is a potential there. The Chiefs, obviously clear cut number one, whether it be Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, or Kenneth Walker. I do think they want to grab one of those guys. The Vikings are another situation that could be a really good fit for a running back. A pass catch running back. We saw they like to use there, like a guy like Travis Etienne would look nice in Minnesota.
I remember last year in the draft cycle, I really wanted the Vikings to draft Travion Henderson. That type of player would be great there.
Yeah, I think Etienne would be a nice fit out there and put him back in that finishes RB1 potential. Again, Travis Etienne's been available. I think he's for the price tag. I really like Tyler Algier. I really like Travis Etienne. I really like J.K. Dobbins for the price tag. If I can get Breece Hall for any first, I'm doing it.
If it's late, I'm giving 2, no problem.
For Breece, I'd give 2.
It's the late first. Yep.
I'd give 2. Yeah, I'd give 2 late for Breece. I give a first for Kenneth Walker. I don't. Again, now we say these picks. Sometimes it's a player of equal value, right? I would say Travis Etienne. I know it sounds crazy. He's borderline in that role, and I think he's gonna get the contract that kind of fits that mold as well. So these are all a long list of running backs, and then let's go ahead and we'll go through here team by team as well. Just make sure we kind of cover our bases here. And before I do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at FastDraft right now, what they have going on. We mentioned all the rookies coming in and diving in the film room. If you love that and that's your game, right? Which is most dynasty players. What most of us love it, not just because of the longevity, it's because of our session of rookies and NFL draft and studying it. This is a great tournament they have going on for you. It's the Origins tournament. And right now, FastDraft has it going on where real money on rookies now. It's the first best ball tournament of 2026, and it's rookies only. They have $10,000 in prizes up for grabs. You can go out and figure out what rookies you want in their current ADP. But listen, when you have the advantage of the film room and podcasts like Dynasty Nerds, you are going to be ahead of the curve. And we already know, one Nerd Herd member already took down their rabbit tournament. We said this before about FastDraft. It's a great website for best ball because not all the sharks are on there. And listen, sharks use hundreds of thousands of dollars and crazy computer skills to win a lot of these tournaments. Like if you like to do it for fun and you're not going to nerd out that hard, FastDraft is for you. And you get in here and use these rookie deals. And right now, if you use the promo code NERDS, they're going to deposit your match $50 up to $50. So you put $50, they're going to give you $50 of free money. And it's great because you have an opportunity to go in here and use your knowledge, right? Like, what's that term? Knowledge is power. So the more you know about these rookies, you go out there and actually draft them now before they're even drafted. Like, one opportunity if you go out there and win a lot of money. Check them out. Use that promo code NERDS to get that free money over at FastDraft. That's right. Go over to FastDraft right now and use that promo code NERDS for a $50 deposit match out there. And I think we are going to send you.
You get a free year of the Nerd Herd.
We're going to send you a free year of the Nerd.
That's right.
If you do it. So if you make a $10 deposit at FastDraft, we're going to give you a free year. So you want to use that film room? You want to get the Nerds Rookie Guide? You want to get access to the Dynasty GM app, the best app out there. We have some updates coming up to that very soon. I just saw the new trade browser. It looked really sweet. We're going to give you a free year deposit. All you got to do is deposit $10. I'll deposit 50 and get ready as these rookies come up and get a free 50. We're going to give you all that back in a free 1-year membership to the Nerd Herd, access to all our tools. But right now, the one I'm going to say the most important is going to be the Dynasty Film Room and the Rookie Guide coming out. If you're already a member, we're going to send you a $25 coupon. So if you put $10 in to go play in this rookie contest, they're going to give you $10 for free, and we're going to send you $25. So you're literally getting $35 for free to go out there and do it. So check them out, FastDraft. Use that promo code NERDS. You got to use the promo code NERDS to make it qualify.
All right, and I just want to throw in a little extra something out there. If you've been listening to the college show on the Draft Nerds, which is, we're all one big family here, but you have a huge advantage right now because there are players that people are drafting in the first, second, third, fourth round of those Origins tournaments, Rich, that are going back to college. They're not even going to play this year. And people are drafting them early on in these drafts. The Justice Haynes of the world, John Mateers, the Eric Singletons, like those guys are all going back to school, but yet they're being drafted high. But yet guys that are coming out like Trinidad Chamberlain, you're able to get late. So right now the ADP on there is wonky. So if you know what you're doing and you've paid attention, you have a huge, huge edge on your competition.
Nice.
All right. I want to make sure I also tell you guys about FFPC. We just had a meeting with these guys and we're running it back again because guess what? It's an amazing place to play fantasy football. If you are ever worried about being like, I want to play, but I just don't have a bunch of buddies that I think would be committed. The league will fold in a year or two. They've never, ever had a league fold. And here's the fun part right now. There are a ton of orphans available. So you can do a startup, sure. But you can also hop on some of these orphan teams. I mean, somebody left this team and look, they are releasing different ones every single week. So it's not like, okay, if I don't get it today, I'm never going to get a good one. No, they're releasing them week by week. So head in there, find yourself a good orphan that you can turn that small entry fee into a huge, huge profit. They have some as low as $77. They have some that are in the thousands as far as their startup. It all depends on how confident you are in your skills. So head on over there to ffpc.com. Look, it's an amazing place to play. Right now, if you use promo code NERDS, we're going to give you $25 off your first orphan. So head to myffpc.com and use that promo code NERDS today. All right, we want to go team by team?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start off here with the Arizona Cardinals. We mentioned James Conner, very potential draft, cap cut casually at 31. He was got the 1 year non-guaranteed on his deal. And then behind him, all you really have on that roster left under contract is Trey Benson.
Yep, that's it.
So new coach, new philosophy, big need. Trey Benson could be sky high, could be a backup, could be nothing. They could sign somebody in free agency. Definitely if they get Kyler Murray off their books. Arizona is such a wild place, right? Like what's going out there on right there. There's so many questions, but with questions come value, right? That's a value. So if you can get Trey Benson, as the thing stands today, he's what, a 95% chance as if things stay the way they are today, the starting running back for the Arizona Cardinals in 2026.
It's looking very good for him.
Yeah. So who's next on the team? You kind of want to rotate through the team?
Yeah, sure. Then we have the Atlanta Falcons. there's not going to be much here other than they'll add some depth here, but obviously Bijan Robinson's the guy. Did you see who Kevin Stefanski brought in as a coach or as offensive line coach?
Yeah, of course, it's Bill Callahan, best offensive line run game coordinator in the game.
If there was a way for Bijan to get better, it just happened. Like, you add that type of run game coordinator and offensive line coach. Oh my gosh. Like, it's a dream situation for Bijan.
Bijan has a chance to be the top scoring fantasy player next year.
Yeah, period.
Under Kevin Stefanski and Bill Callahan, the number one overall fantasy scorer.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
He will be utilized with no Tyler in a passing game. He'll be utilized in between the tackles, at the red zone. Bijan will be the guy. I think they're going to safety net Michael Penix. They don't have a lot of – we'll see what happens. Kyle Pitts. We'll talk about the receivers in tomorrow's episode. But, man, Bijan right now, the only other person behind him is Nathan Carter. If you're in a lot of leagues like me right now, Nathan Carter is probably a free agent in your lineup. Right now, he's the backup running back to Bijan Robinson. So if you have room on your dynasty roster, Nathan Carter, running back for the Falcons, should be picked up.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to Baltimore.
Baltimore's got Derrick Henry under contract for another year. Beside him, Justin Hill is a free agent. Then you got Keaton Mitchell and Rasheen Ali as backups. Still new coach, but Derrick Henry is locked in to be the starting running back there for the Baltimore Ravens, unless all of a sudden they wanted to just completely reset. But they extended him too. So he got a new 2-year, $30 million deal. So he's getting, I think, $15 million guaranteed this year. So I think Derrick Henry is the guy there pretty easily. But again, depth. He's going to be 31 years old? Like,
I think he might be 32. Yeah,
32 with probably 8,649 miles on his tires. So what are they doing behind him? Rasheen Ali is a player who has shined a little bit in his opportunities. A player that you were really big on, and Keaton Mitchell, two running backs that you might want to. Again, small moves here, right? We're just talking about Dynasty Nerds notes right now. We're trying to take notes of all these names. There are potential throw-ins or draft day grabs even, right? Like, hey, I'll give you're in the third round and the 18th receiver's on the board and somebody likes them. Like, hey, dude, give me Rasheen Ali. Okay. Like,
give me a chance.
I'm encouraging everybody to add as much running back depth as possible this offseason because you're going to need it. Yeah. And on top of that, what gives you the most value in return, right? You go for a third for Rasheen Ali. All of a sudden, Derrick Henry goes down. He's starting. You're getting a second, right? Upgrade. You just upgrade.
Absolutely. Right, Bills are a little bit of a tough one right now. James Cook, obviously, we know is a stud. Ty Johnson will be gone. Ray Davis is still under contract right now, so he's got a couple years left. This is going to be a tricky one because I don't know really what to do with Ray Davis. They're going to have a new coach come in. When he's a depth piece, maybe he loves Ray Davis. Maybe he takes a few carries away from James Cook. Or maybe it's the opposite and he doesn't like Ray Davis at all and he doesn't see any time. So kind of a big wild card mystery box right now with the Buffalo Bills. But what we do know is James Cook led the NFL in rushing yards last year. Doesn't matter who comes in. He's going to be the lead guy. It just is, does he get 200 touches or 300 touches? We'll see. Yeah,
he's safe. I think Ray Davis is safe too. He's their kick returner as well. He's a very capable backup running back. So I think the Bills are nothing to see here. Next is the Carolina Panthers, which is a lot to see here. One of my favorite buys, I've said this a month ago as well, out in Dynasty. For somebody who's only, I think, 22 years old, I think now at this point. Jonathon Brooks hasn't played in 2 years. He was a second-round pick. So has 2 years left on his deal. 2 brutal knee injuries. But now being a year and a half removed, right? Like he tore that early in the year, I think, in 2024. Missed all of 2025. And I saw a blurb, I think, a week or two ago from Canales. And somebody asked him about Jonathon Brooks. And he's like, man, Jonathan looks absolutely phenomenal. He's big, he's powerful, and he's running fast. And they said he definitely has an opportunity to start for us next year. And for me, when I'm looking at it, we mentioned Rico, it's just Chuba Hubbard and Trevor Etienne. There is a very, very solid chance that Jonathon Brooks is the starting running back for the Carolina Panthers come kickoff of September of 2026. He's affordable. In need of a young, good running back. He's the kind of member. He's the first running back off the board in NFL draft. I am definitely finding ways to try and acquire as many Jonathon Brooks shares as possible, whether it be draft capital, which you can't give them first. You could try and give them for a second. I would pay a second. I'd be willing to 2 seconds. Is 2 seconds crazy for Jonathon Brooks?
I don't think so, especially in this class, which is not looking great. Like, I agree. You want to give yourself the best shot of getting a player that can actually play. I think John, as long as it's not like 2-1, 2-2, if I'm giving up, 2-4 and 2-9, yeah, I would do that for Jonathon Brooks.
In the 20, if it's 2:26 seconds, I don't care where they're at personally for Jonathon Brooks. It's the 27 second where it's like it's a high 27 second. I can't do that because the class is gonna be so deep. You're gonna get really good value in that draft class. But yeah, Jonathon Brooks, fantastic buy. Everybody should be out there at least attempting to find a path for Jonathon Brooks. Like, if you have a good receiver come off a really good year, who's a free agent, like a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson, right? Risky maneuver, giving him up, being a free agent, but Jonathon Brooks is the kind of guy you want to make that bet for. I think he's one of my most intriguing favorite, running backs that's still under contract outside of like a guy like Tyler Algier that I want to go out there and get. I think if I had to attack it, we mentioned those guys earlier. I think Jonathon Brooks falls in that category up there of that Travis Etienne, Tyler Algier value for me of the guys I want to go get. Jonathon Brooks.
Yep. Makes perfect sense. Let's go to the Chicago Bears. The Bears here, it's an interesting situation with Swift because he had a phenomenal year, and I think he's still very, very undervalued. The only part that's a little tricky with him is his contract right now. He only has a $1.3 million dead cap. So if they find themselves in a spot to I don't think they will, but to draft a Jeremiah Love, or they have a running back and free agency that they have their eye on, there's no reason they couldn't go get that player if they wanted to. I don't think that happens. I think it's going to be Swift and Monangai next year. I think they're going to run it back with the same two guys. Both guys very capable running backs. Both guys I feel good putting in my flex spot. I don't know that I necessarily want either one as an RB2, but I feel good putting them in my flex spot right now. And for the most part, I just don't think there's going to be a lot of moves on this team this year at the running back spot.
I agree. I could live with DeAndre Swift to be my RB2. I think Kyle Monangai falls more into the later stage of David Montgomery, not that elite running back one David Montgomery, but again, same offense, Ben Johnson's offense. David Montgomery is valuable. I think they're both hold value there. I think, going into the second year of that offense with Caleb Williams, another year developed a healthy Rome Odunze and all those weapons out there. I do think DeAndre Swift is a good value. I wouldn't hate him as my RB2 and still young enough. And I think him and Kyle Monangai are the 1-2 punch out there. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And I feel good about Monangai as a flex spot. I feel better about Swift in my flex, but if he's my RB2 going in 26 with the depth that we have, I'm not hating it, right? Like it's not, you could do way worse. Next on the list is the Bengals. Right now they have Taj Brooks on a rookie scale and it's Chase Brown. And that's it right there. So for me, Chase Brown's, I think, got 2 more years on his deal, 26 and 27. That'd be his 4 years.
I think that's right.
Yeah, interesting. A good chance. Again, I think Chase Brown is just a guy, right? Like I think he's a jag at running back. I think he's better in the receiving game than he's a running back game. It'd be really nice to see them. Like I don't know. It's like
Brian Robinson written all over it.
Yeah, right. That's what it feels like to me. Like Brian Robinson would be a really good fit there. And I think Chase Brown would suffer because of that. I thought Chase Brown was going to suffer this year, but he just found himself as the guy again all year. So to me, not a super talented running back, in my opinion. I'd be loving, like, again, with the thirst at running back, I think Chase Brown could probably give you more value than needed. If I can get a 27 first for Chase Brown, man, I would love to do that for somebody who's in need of running back help. And the quicker, the better before they have a chance to like kind of suppress his value in free agency. But they definitely, to me, seem like a team they're going to have to do something at that running back position offset to just Chase Brown.
Yeah. Moving on to the Cleveland Browns. I think this is a big nothing burger here. Yes, it's going to be a new coach, but there are so many holes on this team. Running back is not going to be an issue. Quinshawn, I know he was banged up at the end of the year. He should be fine to start 2026. Dylan Sampson will be backing him up. Raheem Sanders. We'll see how that all plays out, but there's really nothing.
There's opportunity too. Yeah.
Played just fine.
I think those are the three running backs for your Cleveland Browns in 2026. Quinshawn, Dylan Sampson, Raheem Sanders. Very solid core there. Quinshawn, obviously the main guy. But again, new coaching system coming in. We'll see how it all plays out. They want to run 2 running back sets. We do not know, but nothing to worry about here. Next on the list is Dallas Cowboys. We mentioned it. The only running backs that are going to be under contract are Jaden Blue and Phil Maffa. Like, they're doing something. And you mentioned Javonte Williams is most likely the guy coming back there. But whoever it's going to be, we saw the re-emergence of Javonte Williams will be a high caliber running back in a pass first offense.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll see who ends up there. Denver Broncos, they're one of the more interesting ones to me. RJ Harvey, obviously kind of a meh rookie season, but he showed some flashes at times. I think there's a decent chance J.K. Dobbins could come back or somebody in that type of realm. I don't know that we get the full RJ Harvey experience next year. Rich, do you think we could?
I think we could. For sure. I think they could bring somebody very insignificant in, in a free agent class. Like they could be the kind of team that brings in like a Jerome Ford, right? Some of those lines. And I think with his draft capital, they took him really high, right? They took him second round. Sean Payton has his hands all over that. So there probably is a path for him to definitely be the guy. But again, he didn't show anything when JK went down. Flashes here and there, but not like the star potential that I saw in that offense. But with the draft capital and a team that could add a couple more players, they have to start thinking about extensions for like Bo Nix coming up here as well. What are they going to do with the receiver position? In Denver, is Cortland? I think Cortland Sutton can be let go.
I think he just got I think they worked.
They just extended him, didn't they?
Yeah,
that was new. Actually, I was thinking that was 2 years ago. So, if I had to bet, I think they would. I think J.K. Dobbins is worst case because he already surpassed RJ Harvey. I don't think it would be as much as we saw this past year. I think it'd be a little bit more of a split. But I think J.K. Dobbins is worst case. I think outside J.K. Dobbins, everything else would be a little bit more insignificant. And again, I think this is somebody that they could go ahead and rely on because the draft capital says so.
Okay.
Yeah. Next one's the Detroit Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously the guy there. No longer have to worry about that 1-2 split with Ben Johnson being gone. We saw Dan Campbell kind of got rid of that. Drew Petzing didn't really run that kind of offense as well. It was kind of like even James Conner as the guy there. So I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the clear guy. They'll definitely want to bring a guy in behind him. If not, right now, Sion Vaki is the only backup running back. So again, Sion Vaki, somebody kind of pay attention to. They did draft him out there as well. Another team that could potentially bring in a running back to kind of be the bruiser. Like this would be, Garrett, to me, this is like the perfect place for like Najee Harris to go for me personally. Big, powerful running back. You probably get for super cheap on a prove-it deal. He's going to a good team inside on a dome. And he kind of fits that David Montgomery role as well. And it gives him the time to kind of like make sure he doesn't have to come in and hit the ground running. So I think Brian Robinson, again, here, good fit. Najee Harris, I think, good fit. I think Isaiah Pacheco, good fit. But Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy there in Detroit. And I don't think there's anything else to worry about. Like there's nothing like any other running that goes there does not excite me. And I don't think you're getting that David Montgomery of the old, right? I think the offense has come and gone, and now it's in Chicago. So for me, nothing to really see here.
Yeah. Let's go to the Green Bay Packers. We mentioned earlier Emmanuel Wilson. He's technically a restricted free agent. Green Bay is currently projected to be $18 million under the cap. So, or above the cap. I don't know, in the red. So that's going to be an interesting one to see how it plays out. But obviously Josh Jacobs is the guy there. No matter what, I think they're hoping Marshawn Lloyd can finally get healthy, but we just never get to see this guy play because he's just never healthy. So it might just be one of those unfortunate careers of a guy that we never really get to see. So especially if Emmanuel Wilson does move on, they'll definitely be adding, but I think they might consider adding either way because of all of the injury risk to Marshawn Lloyd. I don't think it's anybody significant, but I think they'll add somebody, but Josh Jacobs is the guy. And honestly, there's some risk there because obviously he did not finish the season well. He was very banged up. But in a world where running backs might be few and far between, he could be one of those cheap free agent veterans that could end up coming in and being a very good player for your team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they do anything at running back. All those guys are under contract for one more year. Manuel Wilson, Chris Brooks, and Marshawn Lloyd. So again, depth, notes. Josh Jacobs is going to be a little bit older going into next year. So great. You don't want to have 12 wide receivers on your roster, guys that you're never going to put in potential. You want to load up on some of these running backs. And I think, again, Manuel Wilson, Chris Brooks, Marshawn Lloyd, guys that add depth on your roster, give you a little bit more clarity. Houston Texans, we mentioned them already. Joe Mixon, likely a cut. You have Woody Marks that's there. They trade up for on a rookie deal. I think he's a kind of a change of pace guy. Nick Chubb, going to be gone. Darway Ogunbowale, gone. Jahar Jordan, again, on a rookie contract out there. But this is a team I could definitely see bring in. Again, it all depends how they feel on Woody Marks. They did trade up for him. Let's see what they got out of this contract. But CJ Stroud needs a strong running game. And I don't know if Woody Marks guarantees that. I think Woody Marks is definitely a part of the equation. So he falls into, again, that kind of tier 2 running back. But it wouldn't surprise me as well if the Texans went out and got the elite running back, right? And now Woody Marks' value completely plummets. So for me, do you think if you have Woody Marks and people are kind of, nonchalant dynasty players are now thinking he's the starter next year, are you trying to move off Woody Marks? Do you think there's a better chance that Woody Marks is the starter next year, or the change of pace backup running back?
I think it's pretty equal shot. I think the most likely scenario is probably a committee guy that comes in, like a Sean Tucker, and those two kind of are like our committee type of thing.
Yeah.
But either way, this is a time where I am using my second round pick and Woody Marks to try to get a first. I think that's the kind of move I'm trying to make right now. Yeah,
it's pretty savvy. Definitely for somebody who needs running back help. Hey, man, I'll give you Woody Marks and my 26-1-2-3. If you have a high second, it's going to hold a lot of weight, right? Okay, I'll give you 2-3, 2-4 Woody Marks in that 27 class. Because remember, that 27 class is going to have a lot of depth. Like, to the point of, like, definitely you play Superflex. If you play Superflex leagues, 112, you're going to get a really good player.
100%. 100%.
At 112, you're going to get a really good player. So it doesn't matter where that first lies. So somebody have the mentality of like, oh, dude, they're giving me 2-3 and Woody Marks. Like, I'm just going to move back a couple spots in the first. Like, if you think that, the difference between 2-3 and 26 and 112 and 27 is probably like you're getting Jeremiah Love like in this class, right? Compared to 2-3. Next on team Colts. Not a lot to see here. Jonathan Taylor is the guy under contract for another year, but there is the only other player under contract for the Indianapolis Colts, a guy you probably want to pick up, a good rookie contract guy who had very solid tape, a guy who could definitely fill in and be a guy is DJ Giddens, the Indianapolis Colts. Might be a free agent in your league. It depends how your taxi squads work, but again, a nice little depth piece you can get to add behind Jonathan Taylor. Definitely if I have Jonathan Taylor, DJ Giddens is a really go ahead and get you some Giddens.
Absolutely. Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll see what happens with Travis Etienne. He's one of the biggest wild cards in all of this to try to figure out what happens with him. Bashal Tutin did look good at times this season. Yeah. LaQuint Allen, they would use all three backs almost every game. LaQuint Allen, he would see a lot of third down type of work and things like that because he protected well and he caught passes. So they could easily go into the season with Bashal Tutin, LaQuint Allen, and then maybe a depth piece. I think either way, they're either re-signing Travis Etienne if they're not fully sold on Tutin, or Tutin's going to be the guy. I don't see this as a scenario where they bring in a Breece Hall or bring in a Kenneth Walker. I think it's either we stick with our guys or we're going to bring Travis Etienne back. So anything that's added to this team outside of Etienne would just be depth.
Yeah, I said this about a month ago where everybody else can go out and chase Bashal Tutin. I said go out there and chase LaQuint Allen. Real nice running back out of Syracuse. Really liked his game. Thought he, really solid in the passing game. But like you and I mentioned, like he looked pretty good in between the tackles time. Didn't get a lot of credit for that, but he showed some power. A little bit for a lean frame, actually showed a little bit of power there. Actually was a big fan of LaQuint Allen's tape coming out. Yeah, so
I was as well.
So I really like the opportunity here. Bashal Tutin and LaQuint Allen. I could easily see Jacksonville rolling with those two going into the year.
Yep.
And finding depth later and added nobody of significance. So everybody else going to chase Breece Hall too, then you should go out there and try and get LaQuint Allen. And for his cost, again, it's nothing, no sweat off your back. Very, very cheap acquisition. And a lot of these guys are, right? Like, and this is the best part about it. It's like you're swinging for the fences with a 3-0 count, right? Like there's nothing can go wrong here. Like even if you get a strike, no big deal. Nothing lost here. You got a couple more swings at it. So next on the list is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. We mentioned this is a team that needs a running back. They have, outside of Brashard Smith, nobody's going to be on this roster. And it's going to be the premier position. With the Pat Mahomes injury, even more of a premier position. You could say this is the belle of the ball. Whoever goes here immediately skyrockets in ADP. We'll talk about it when it goes down because there could be a really good chance of a sell here, right? Like,
yep.
And that being said, like, remember, if you're not a contender, running backs have got to go. Hey, ho, these hoes have got to go. And these are the opportunities, like free agency opens, you guys get these contracts. Odds are that's going to be their peak value for a lot of these guys. Because even like where somebody goes in Kansas City, there's still a good chance like where they perceive his value will outweigh what he actually produces. Now, that being said, Isaiah Pacheco looked pretty good in Kansas City. I think Andy Reid can make a running back look really good. So out of all everywhere, this is the spot I am number one curious about. Obviously, if Breece Hall goes there, like I'm not even selling when he signs unless I'm getting like a crazy haul because I think his value will skyrocket in season. Like you'll be able to get a really good haul in season for Breece Hall, a good haul for Hall.
So just for time's sake, I think the next four here are pretty much nothing burgers, with the only exception being who's going to be the backup in Las Vegas. But Ashton Genty's the stud there. The Chargers, Omarion Hampton's a stud there. The Rams, it's going to be some combination of Kyron, Blake Corum, and maybe we get a little bit of Jarquez Hunter.
Yep.
The Miami Dolphins, even though they're getting a new team or a new head coach, it's still going to be the Devon Etienne show with some combination of Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright as the other two guys that could be mixed in. But I don't see any significant player being added to any of those four teams. Do you, Rich?
No, 100%. After that, the Minnesota Vikings, we mentioned they need a running back pretty badly out here.
Yep.
Aaron Jones, he's not going to be there. You got Jordan Mason, who they signed just a jag. Vikings are a clear-cut landing spot. Patriots, nothing to see here. Trevion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. You hope Trevion can step up and be the main guy there, even though it seems they love Ramondre Stevenson, which solid running back, but he ain't Trevion Henderson.
No.
We mentioned the Saints. They need help.
They need help. I know the Kendre Miller truthers are like, Kendre's there. He keeps getting his chances and usually gets hurt.
Yeah, so Devin Neal is there. Audric Estime. Do they bring a guy in? Do they not? Do they try to like?
Wouldn't surprise me if they do.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they do either. They want to spend the money. They have Alvin Kamara, Kendrick Miller's whatever, Devin Neal, 2BD, and then you have Estime. Giants, nothing to see here. It's Cam Scatterboo, Tyrone Tracy. Jets, big question mark here. They're going to bring a guy in for sure. They're not. I mean, could you say Braylon Allen is potential winner? You could. I don't think Braylon Allen's very efficient, but he's a name out there who's looked good from some fantasy scores. If Breece Hall signs elsewhere and the Jets don't make a move early, and I can get anything at all for Braylon Allen, like a second round pick for Braylon Allen, I'm moving him.
Really? See, I think for me, I would be at least open to seeing what they do, because I mean, he could easily have a Mike Davis type season where there's just nothing there and it's a loss season for the Jets and they give him 20 touches a game and just on volume alone. So, but I understand it's still a second is still a good pick. So
no, you are right about that. It just, from everything I've seen on tape on Braylon Allen.
Sure.
I don't see an overly efficient running back. I think he's a young, big, powerful guy, and that's how he wins.
With not a lot of touchdown opportunities.
Yeah, but not a lot of wiggle, not really good vision. For me, even if he is a guy, like how many people like wish they would have got anything for they could have that time for Mike Davis when he was a running back one, that 1 year. You're right. I think you're right. I think the better odds to hold Braylon Allen and hope he's a guy and try to get a much bigger return. Because then he'd fall in that category. Now you can move your second and Braylon Allen for a 27 first. Yeah. And that's probably worth the gamble on, just hoping.
Because that's
sign a good running back there in free agency. There's still a chance that he's going to be the backup and he's going to get a chance. But they also have Isaiah Davis there too, and I think Isaiah Davis looked better than Braylon Allen. So Eagles, another see there. It's Saquon, Will Shipley, Tank Bigsby. Steelers, they just extended Jalen Warren. Kenneth Gainwell is a free agent, but they drafted Caleb Johnson. But again, new coach, so we don't see. I think Caleb's going to get a chance, and it's going to be Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren. 49ers is Christian McCaffrey, and then I'll bring somebody in. We'll get an opportunity at some point.
Or maybe not. Isaac Guerrero, Jordan James. I mean, they're
you're right.
players.
You're right. Seattle, we talked about them earlier. Huge question marks over there because all they have is Zach Charbonnet and Kenny McIntosh under contract for this year, and Charbonnet just tore his ACL.
Yeah, they're going to
do Buccaneers. Funky situation. Bucky Irvin only got 1 year left on his deal. Does he get extended?
I think that one might be a misprint because I think he has 2. He should have 4
years. Okay, yeah. 2 years left on his deal. Sean Tucker and Rashad White free agents. They're definitely bringing somebody in for sure. Yep. And I think this is definitely a situation of like, hey, how much does the coach love Bucky? We'll know for sure.
Find out.
So I think Bucky's in it. I think for me, this would be the year where like I'm getting like if Bucky comes in, looks really, really good, has a good year. That'd be the prime like sell high.
Sure.
More for Bucky going to 26. We'll talk about that later. We already talked about Tennessee, nothing to talk about there. And then the Commanders, obviously Austin Eckler is a free agent, Chris Rodriguez under contract. You have JCM. JCM looked way better the last couple games. They did look early, but I can still see this.
Not enough to save his job though.
Yeah. They got to bring in somebody who's going to be a high caliber weapon for Jane Daniels in this offense and where they're going to go. They got rid of Cliff Kingsbury. So it will be a new offensive coordinator there, a new offense, which will be intriguing. So, a lot of names, a lot of information. Go get them all. Treat them like Pokemon.
See ya.